Guys, welcome back to SEWCT. I'm Chef T, your host. We are going to be covering some news today. All right, so myth busters. I wanted to cover some of the COVID-19 myth busters over here on World Health Organization. Again, guys, link is going to be in the podcast description, video description as well. So wherever you're looking or listening to this podcast or getting or digesting this content information, link is always going to be in the description if you want to do further research for yourself, which I highly recommend for you to do. Just don't believe what I'm saying or anybody saying. Do your own research, dive deep, look at both sides of the research and not just one point of view, because that can give you a little more of a concrete, that can give you a platform, and hopefully you can get a concrete answer from that platform of going back and forth with your information. So this is found on who.int. Moving on, we are going to cover a little topic of Miley Cyrus, formerly vegan, and apparently she is not considered vegan anymore because of this reason. So this is found on thebeat.com. Miley Cyrus, formerly vegan, admits she now eats fish. Let's move on to the next one. The title here is How the Agricultural World is Facing the Water Challenge. So water, I've read or heard, or probably both, because I get my information from several outlets online. I read a lot of books, watch a lot of documentaries. So it could be just a combination of all of those. However, in the next few years, it looks like water shortage is going to be a huge problem. And if we don't tackle this issue now, it's just going to be a major problem in our future. So they're saying water will be like the next gold rush. And you're probably saying who are they? It's, analysts, scientists, economists, people in the field that are constantly doing research in this field to bring this information to mainstream media. But water will be the next gold rush in the future. Just think of that, gold rush in the past on how that went, and just think about water. We need water to survive. So it's so important. How the agricultural world is facing the water challenge. Again, this is found on the worldcrunch.com website. Let's move on to some cooking oils. This article is found on bbc.com. So bbc.com has an article here which cooking oil is healthier for you. So many people are probably wondering, and if you're in the kitchen more often than usual because of what's going on, this pandemic, you're probably finding yourself in situations, predicaments, where you're wanting to learn a little bit more. Well, learn and know more about what you're cooking and how to cook, right? So BBC featured this article. It's titled, Which Cooking Oil is the Healthiest? So that's something I feel like you guys or everyone always want to stay on top of, especially if they're doing different styles of cooking. And what I mean by that, stovetop, grilling, in the oven, all that stuff. It's different styles. You want to make sure your oils match up to those criteria. Let's move on. Reign of cannabis. Drone drops packets of weed across Tel Aviv. So drones are starting to deliver products to people's homes, doors, locations. And in this situation, we're talking about cannabis. Pretty dope, guys. And lastly, we are going to be covering the news, which when I searched cooking, this came up, DeFi revolution in cooking. But it's not about cooking. This is all about technology, and what I've been featuring over the last few podcasts, covering some crypto news, blockchain news, and basically what I've been focusing on somewhat, but not the only area that I'm focusing on in the crypto blockchain world, is how blockchain cryptocurrency utilization is going to impact the food industry. But honestly, it's going to be impacting all of the industries anyway. So this is something you want to stay on top of for sure, because if you care about the future, care about where things are going, this is something you may want to look into to continue to further educate yourself. So another article I have here for you guys, like I was talking about the crypto and blockchain article, was DeFi revolution is like cooking a recipe. So if you don't know what DeFi is, it stands for decentralized finance. But look, they're not talking about decentralized. They're not breaking it down in this article. There's other stuff they're going to be getting into. But just so you know, DeFi, DEFI, is the new sort of financial integration, maybe it will be the right terminology for this. That's going to be part of the world's financial system in some degree. So anyhow, when you get a chance, look up DeFi and you can find out more about it. But this article is covering some information on DeFi. DeFi revolution is like cooking a recipe. So when I Googled cooking, this came up. So it was funny. I'm all of my, as you know already, my podcast is going to be talking about towards the end technology. I also want to integrate science as well. It's funny because SEWCT derived from Simple Eats with Chef T, but I was meditating on it for a little while. It also could stand for, and I think eventually that's what it's just going to be, is S for science, E for eats, food, right? W for water. I also said waste, which is really important that we should start focusing on. C for cooking, topics we touch on and continue to touch on, but also cannabis, right? And T, lastly, technology. Isn't that dope? SEWCT, baby. Let's get into this first article right here, Myth Busters. So again, this is found on who.int. Now, who.int, they go through a list. I am not going to go through all of this because I will be here forever. This is crazy. It's a long list, but believe me, there's a lot of great information in here. So the link is going to be in this podcast description. I'll go through at least the first 5. So fact, studies show hydrochloroquine does not have clinical benefits in treating COVID-19. Hydrochloroquine or chloroquine, a treatment for malaria, lupus, also rheumatoid arthritis, has been understudied as a possible treatment for COVID-19. Current data shows that this drug does not reduce deaths among hospitalized COVID-19 patients, nor help people with moderate disease. So the use of this drug is accepted as general safe for patients with malaria and autoimmune diseases, but its use were not indicated and without medical supervision can cause serious side effects and should be avoided. So that's one fact buster there. Another one is people should not wear masks while exercising. This is what they're saying. People should not wear masks when exercising, as masks may reduce the ability to breathe comfortably. Sweat can make the mask become wet more quickly, which makes it difficult to breathe and promotes the growth of microorganisms. The important preventive measure during exercise is to maintain physical distance of at least 1 meter from others. Number 3, well, they're not listening, but it's the third one down. Fact, the likelihood of shoes spreading COVID-19 is very low, they said. The likelihood of COVID-19 being spread on shoes and infecting individuals is very low. As a precautionary measure, particularly in homes where infants and small children crawl or play on floors, consider leaving your shoes at the entrance of your home. My wife and I do this pretty much all the time. I hate shoes coming from outside. walking around the house, spreading all the germs and stuff like that. I've always liked my shoes outside the house, or like at the door at least, if anything. This would help prevent contact with dirt or any waste that could be carried on the soles of your shoes. So I am all for that. Next is the coronavirus disease. COVID-19 is caused by a virus, not by bacteria. The virus that causes COVID-19 is in a family of viruses called Coronaviridae. I think that's how you say it. Anyhow, antibiotics do not work against viruses. Some people who become ill with COVID-19 can also develop a bacteria infection as a complication. In this case, antibiotics may be recommended by a healthcare provider. There is currently no licensed medications to cure COVID-19. If you have symptoms, call your health provider or COVID-19 hotline for assistance. Let's do two more. Fact: the prolonged use of medical masks when properly worn does not cause CO2 intoxication nor oxygen deficiency. The prolonged use of medical masks can be uncomfortable, as we've seen with many people sharing online. However, it does not lead to CO2 intoxication nor oxygen deficiencies. While wearing a medical mask, make sure it fits properly. It's the most important thing. And it is tight enough to allow you to breathe normally. One of the things I tell you I can't stand is the fitting of the mask. Some masks pull your ears forward, yanks your ears really, really tight. So I can definitely understand how that can be very uncomfortable and annoying. There are some companies out there that are making straps that are adjustables, which I prefer. And I think it's just a little bit easier on the ears. So they go on to say, do not reuse a disposable mask and always change it as soon as it gets damp. I'll do one more. This is your last one. Most people who get COVID-19 recover from it. Most people who get COVID-19 have a mild or moderate symptoms and can recover thanks to supportive care. If you have a cough, fever, difficulty breathing, seek medical care early. That's important. Call your health care provider facility by telephone first. If you have a fever and live in an area with malaria, seek medical care immediately, guys. I'm going to move on, guys. There's a lot of information here to cover, a lot more facts that they're debunking. COVID-19 is not transmitted through houseflies. Wow. I didn't even know that was something. There's so much information, man. The freaking internet is full of so much great information and so much crap as well. Let's move on, guys. So Miley Cyrus is no longer considered a vegan, I guess. Let's see what this article is about. I thought this was a fun article to share with you guys. It's found on thebeat.com. Miley Cyrus, formerly vegan, admits she now eats fish. One of the things I would definitely tell you is you should never follow somebody's eating regimen and think it's going to be the best eating regimen for you, because your body is different. Your biological makeover is just structurally different. So I think it's important to I'm not saying not to try it. Definitely try it. Be sensitive to your body. Find out what works and what don't works. And just don't think because someone else is doing it is the right diet for you. I had a little recorder stop there. But what I just read was Miley Cyrus was reintroduced to fish after her ex-boyfriend, Liam Hensford, another former vegan. So what she was saying was, now that she's feeling sharper, and she thinks it was because she was malnutrition. And Cyrus, who is known for outspoken advocate for animals, is currently introducing fish into her regimen. And my whole point to this is it's really pay attention to how your body feels when you're trying out a different diet. Because you just never know if the diet is effective for you the same way someone else is vouching for it. And a lot of times when you do switch diets, you could figure this out, within a few days, even during a few meals. But sometimes it does take a little bit of time to really pay attention to how your body feels for short-term effects and long-term effects. So really pay attention. I highly suggest, creating like a food journal of all the foods you consume. And now the food journal doesn't have to be something that you do all the time, but in the very beginning of switching your diet, switching your routine, getting onto something that you feel like might work for you, create a food journal around that, because you need that data. You need that information for yourself. And if, God forbid, something happens in terms of like your health, you're not feeling well, you go to the doctor, you can use that data to present to your doctor so you both can be on the same page and figure out the correct way of finding homeostasis for your body. Homeostasis is simply balance. So that's really important. Let's move on into this article a little bit. I'm not going to go too far, but you pretty much get the gist of what's going on here. She talks about, the article talks about scientific evidence seems to refute Cyrus' claims of improved brain function after ditching a vegan diet. A study that followed nearly 1,000 participants for 5 years, assessing their brain function, and concluded that a diet heaviest in leafy greens was most brain healthy. A vegan diet rich in whole grains would fit the bill. Dr. Matthew Nogra, ND, took to Instagram to comment on Cyrus' recent transition back into eating some animal products, suggesting that a placebo effect may have caused the star to feel improved cognitive function. Something that should give pause is when someone notices drastic improvements with a small dietary change. I think that happens with many diets anyway. This screams placebo effect on a psychological level. It's possible for a few meals of seafood to drastically change omega-3 levels, especially within the brain. Let me tell you this. I definitely think it's possible to live on a vegan diet as long as you put the work in to get all your nutrients in to create homeostasis in your body. I'm not going to say everyone that's a vegan do this. I think there's a portion of people that go on a vegan diet for so many different reasons. Animal cruelty, sustainability. We have global warming going on. Then you have others that just, follow the trend just to try it out. With any diet, I think it's really, like I said, it's really important to really pay attention to how your body is feeling. So if you're lacking some nutrients, your body is going to obviously tell you this by giving your body signals. Now, if you ignore those signals for a very long time, those signals become chronic issues later on in life. So to prevent those chronic issues, or I should say, prevent those chronic issues, or there's something else I wanted to say. I'm drawing a blank. It's cool. But anyway, it boils down to prevent those chronic issues from happening. And if you catch it very early on, right, you do this by simply paying attention to the nutrients your body is lacking and try to start deriving those nutrients from particular foods that you can, they mention other foods in here that are all leafy greens are brain foods, right? So yes, I'm not with Miley Cyrus every single day. I don't know how her body handles stress. That plays a huge factor in everything. Stress levels raises cortisol level, creates all these hormonal changes in the body. So who knows what was going on in terms of her stress level and why, her body reacted a certain way on her vegan diet. Could she she could probably find other components that she's lacking from animal products, such as fish, to help her out. That's probably the quickest way. You want to nip it in bud, get the nutrients back in her body so that she can balance herself. And if you want, go back to your vegan diet. Plant-based diet I like because you incorporate a little bit of animal products, right? But not extreme, but enough to keep you satiated, feeling happy. I think that's a great approach. I think as you get older, you start to, and you pay attention to your body, you start to realize that you do start to lean towards more of a low calorie diet as you get older. But keep in mind, if you're very active, you definitely want to make sure you're consuming sufficient amount of calories so that you can operate through your activities and have enough calories just for daily function of organisms, your organs, organisms, something different, but organs in your body and all that stuff. I'm going to leave this link in the description as usual. You guys could click on that. I'm not going to read any further. Let's move on. This article is found on worldcrunch.com. It is how the agricultural world is facing the water challenge. And this is scary, guys, because we need water to survive. And I think you know that. So we have Frank Labarde says he needs water right now. If we don't have it, we risk reliving the drought of 2003, he says, referring to the violent record-breaking heat wave that gripped France in the summer of that year, causing 14,802 deaths. His farm has been feeling the economic effects of the drought for about 10 years. So Labarde is an unlikely victim of insufficient rainfall. His corn-producing farm is located at the foot of Furniss, the wettest department of France in 2019. He should have little to complain about. It rains twice as much as in Brittany, he admits. Yet, summer droughts have hit farms here too. As elsewhere in France, since the start of the summer, a whopping 72 of the country's 96 departments in Europe introduced water restrictions measures. Authorities issued a total of 146, ranging from incentives to save water to bans on non-property uses, including agriculture. This poses a difficult challenge for the industry, given that both plants and livestock suffer badly from the heat. So droughts and heat waves affect crop yields in the summer as in other seasons, while autumn and spring droughts used to be rare in the past. They are becoming increasingly common now. Water has been a problem for farmers for years now, and with global warming, it's likely only to get worse. But Environmental Association hydrogeologists criticize this solution, saying it can change water cycle, the open surface reservoirs to favor the evaporation of stored water, as well as areas where the reservoir are installed. Despite these negative aspects, provided that there is a consultation with various water management partners, Limousin is open to this conversation. Dialogue between different territories actors is necessary, he says, and we are ready to integrate the Environmental Association if they are also a part of the dialogue. So more sustainable practices already exist. I think I think more should be continue to practice. More people should continue to practice. Scientists are experimenting with plant genetics to select more resistance varieties. Bertuzzi, did I pronounce that right? Bertuzzi says that crop diversification can also, sorry if I messed up the name, but they're talking about crop diversification can also be important and promotes a shift in agricultural calendar. Labarde is already applying this strategy. At home, we rarely run out of water until about July 10th, he says. They say. So today, we sow much earlier, around April 1st. This is what they're talking about, so that pollination can take place at the end of June, when statistically there is still water in the soil. So technology too can help farmers reduce their water consumption to avoid waste. Drip, in-ground integration systems can be developed for specific crops. Water probes can indicate the best times to irrigate. So technology is playing a huge role in global warming, and especially in the agricultural field. So it's great to see how that's going to be used further. Hopefully we can get to a point where the crazy predictions, well, I shouldn't say crazy, but like the scary predictions of not really having access to water, hopefully if we make the changes now, that could prevent a lot of that from happening. That's the hope. Let's move on, guys. We're going to move on to a little cannabis here. This is found on IndianExpress.com. Rain of cannabis. Drone drops packets of weed across Tel Aviv. This is crazy. If an annual incident, residents of Israel Tel Aviv claim it was raining weed after a huge load of illegal consignment was dropped on the city by drones. Scores of small packets containing that is suspected to be cannabis was dropped over the city's iconic Rabin Square, leaving many confused. Onlookers were left in a frenzy once they realized what was inside. In a statement, the Israeli police said they suspected the pouches were filled with a dangerous drug, and that officers managed to recover dozens of them. Photos distributed by police showed it filled with cannabis, marijuana. That's interesting. So according to the Jerusalem Post, the bags were dropped by the Green Drone Telegram group, which advocates for legislation of cannabis in the country, with free love being the group's slogan. The group told followers of Telegram this was just the start of an ongoing reign of cannabis. It's time, my dear brothers. It is a bird. It is a plane. No, it's the green drone handing out free cannabis from the sky. Hell yeah. Enjoy, my beloved brothers. This is your pilot brother making sure we all get some free love, they said in their message. Police identified 2 suspects who have been arrested for a dozen of bags strewed throughout the area. An investigation is underway, according to the Times of Israel. Marijuana possession is currently partially criminalized in Israel in the case of small amounts, but distribution remains a criminal offense. Wow. This is found on Indian Express. And now I'm going to end this off, guys, with some, well, actually, I got one more here for those that are interested in oils. Oils are all packed with fats and calories, but their chemistry and effects on our health can be very different. BBC.com, that's the link in the bio. Click that link, you can read further here. But they get into all types of oils here. Let's read a little bit. But when you look at the studies that compared it with other oils, let me go back here. Cooking oils are a kitchen staple, but there's a lot of conflicting information regarding how healthy each of them are. So just keep in mind, guys, every oil have a different temperature tolerance. So it's really important, because otherwise you can create carcinogens just because of cooking at high temps and stuff like that. So you want to be really, 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 really be careful. With so many on the shelves, from coconut to olive, vegetable to canola, avocado to grapeseed oil. How do we know which oils are great? So oils used for cooking tend to get their name from nuts, seeds, fruits, plants, or cereals they're extracted from, either by methods of crushing, pressing, or processing. They're characterized by their fat content, including saturated fat, monounsaturated fat, and polyunsaturated fatty acids. So in recent years, coconut oil, which is around 90% saturated fat, has become the latest trendy superfood. It's been hailed as a superfood, including that it's less likely to be stored in the body as fat and more likely to be expended as energy, according to Harvard University epidemiologist calls it pure poison. That's what one of the epidemiologists is saying. So consuming too much saturated fat, more than 20 grams for women and 30 grams for men per day, according to UK guidelines, makes the body produce cholesterol in our bodies that increases the risk of heart disease. All fat molecules are made of chains of fatty acids, which are either held together with single bonds saturated, or double bonds unsaturated. There are 3 types of fatty acids: short, medium, long chain, right? Short and medium chain fatty acids are absorbed directly into the bloodstream and used for energy. But long chain fatty acids are transported to the liver, which raises blood cholesterol levels. So coconut oil, enjoy it. I love coconut oil. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to any of this, I think know your oils, know your foods, and consume with balance. Don't overconsume in one area. Try to balance your foods out. So this is what they're saying. Coconut oil enjoyed popularity 3 or 4 years ago when there were claims it had a special effect, says Alice. She's a professor of nutrition science and policy of Tufts University in Massachusetts. But when you look at the study that compared with other oils, the results showed it's high in saturated fat and no clinical trials supported any initial claims. Most randomized controlled trials show that coconut oil increases level of harmful cholesterol, low density LDLs, which is linked with heart disease and stroke, but it also raises beneficial cholesterol, high density ADL, which carries LDL away from bloodstream. So my thing is, what I'm curious is of the quantity that was used. It doesn't look like they get into the quantity that was used here, but that's always a curiosity of mine. If you eat too much protein, there could be a harmful effect. If you drink too much water, there is a harmful effect. If you do too much of anything, there can be harmful effects. So I think most importantly, read the article, do a little more research of your own, click the links where they're getting their information, and continue to read so you can make an educated decision for yourself. But I tell you this, from doing studies throughout my culinary career, my fitness career, and nutrition career, when you study Eastern medicine versus Western medicine, there's a different take. Eastern medicine, it's all about finding balance, right? Western medicine is also, it's about like treating not really the underlying issue, but really just treating what you're dealing with now. Eastern always goes back, where is this issue coming from? Let's treat that underlying issue so that we can prevent it from being chronic, which in the Western world, they treat the chronic issue. But you think about this though, this goes back to what I was saying in the beginning of this podcast. If you start to pay attention to the signs, the signals your body gives you, right? The signs, the signals your body gives you on a regular basis, and make sooner adjustments, hopefully you could prevent the chronic issues from happening in the future. And that's the point. That's my point. There's a lot of studies out there with all types of food. There's studies that show good and there's studies that show bad. But I think what it really boils down to, our bodies on a regular basis is always trying to find balance. It's always trying to find balance. And we're walking around while our bodies are constantly doing this. So if you know that, you want to have a balanced nutritional diet so that you can promote balance in the body and make it easier for your body to find balance. Let's move on, guys. The DeFi revolution is taking over the world. What do you think? I don't know. If you're into DeFi, if you're into blockchain, if you're into crypto, and if you're not, I suggest that you continue to do a little research in this area because you want to know where the world is going. This is where the world is going. Not just with DeFi, but just in the sense of using blockchain technology and using cryptocurrency for a more efficient financial system for everyone, right? So DeFi revolution is like cooking a recipe. DeFi ingredients are defined by the creators and developers operating in the space, and subtle variations of previous recipes create new results. So in the last 2 months, the decentralized finance industry has been a dramatic surge of interest as new platforms promising to disrupt the way people manage their money and transact, earn, entertain themselves have launched in rapid succession in recent months. Much of this growth has been catalyzed by the metric rise of DeFi lending platforms like MakerDAO, DAO, and Avi, which together now compose more than 40% of the DeFi market. But a wave of new DeFi products that are targeting practically every traditional and digital industry is now making the rounds, expanding the benefits of DeFi to casual consumers and cryptocurrency users alike. So in 2020, DeFi projects and products can be described as either base level protocols or new experiences built on top of these protocols, or they can be considered refinements or enhancements to pre-existing products and services. So step one, define the transaction rules. So they have 3 steps. All right, let's try to breeze through this a little bit. Since the industry is still very much in the early stages of development, a large proportion of the new projects launched fall under the protocol category. These are essentially the cooking methods that allow entrepreneurs and trailblazing firms to launch their own products and services because they can be woven together into a complex platforms that offer new functionality. These protocols define that can be done within a DeFi application, including which types of digital assets can be issued, managed, or used, as well as how the platforms built on top of the protocols are able to communicate with one another. So in this case, the interplay of different raw materials such as wrapped Bitcoin, WBTC, wrapped Ether, WETH, stablecoins, and popular crypto project tokens like basic attention tokens, BAT, Chainlink, and Curve, CRV, among others, can be used to create entirely new combination or recipes. I know you're probably saying, what in the world are you talking about? I get it. I was like that when I got into this back in 2017. Totally get it. But I did a lot of reading, a lot of research, and I continue to do it because the industry, honestly, it was, I got into it actually 2016 and more in end of 2016 going into 2017. And since then, it's grown tremendously. So you should definitely be paying attention to this, especially if you're an investor. I'm not giving financial advice. Can't do it because I'm not your financial advisor. Always check with your financial advisor, but I definitely suggest that you open your eyes, read, do your research, see where this industry is going. Maybe you could be a part of it in its early states, and that could be life-changing for some people. So the interplay of the multiple different DeFi platforms has led to a rapid growth of the industry as users stack the benefits of each platform on top of one another to achieve new and ever more creative uses of the technology. Let's move on. So that was in number 2. There's some stuff here you can still read. Number 2, develop the assets. So in order to further expand the DeFi industry and bring in the next big wave of users, we need more raw materials. Arguably, one of the most promising raw materials would be tokens that represent sports rights and assets from the sporting industry. With more than 3.5 billion sports fans worldwide, the majority of whom are aged 18 to 49, there is an excellent opportunity to expand the DeFi industry by offering additional value to sports fans. For people looking to develop a disruptive DeFi product that forms the interface between sports and blockchain technology, then sports would form the meat of their recipe. The global sports industry is a 500 billion market that is ripe for disruption by innovative blockchain products, new products, and new experiences. Firms have already begun building the basic protocols that can facilitate this disruption. Some platforms enable fans to participate in the decision-making process of their favorite sports team by purchasing and using their chosen sports team's fan tokens. Depending on the team, these fan tokens can also grant the holders access to a range of rewards, such as a unique experience, exclusive merchandise that is unavailable elsewhere. This can help to provide fans with more meaningful interaction with their favorite sports stars and clubs, while also generating a unique online economy around fan tokens. But DeFi has the potential to expand this much further. With DeFi, users can engage with an entirely decentralized fantasy league, collecting and trading non-tokens that represents players and teams, and setting up trustless betting contracts where players pit their teams against one another and wager on the outcome. Participants in the system don't need to trust the wager, will trust that the wager will be paid out correctly, as everything is completely transparent and trustless. So, and step 3 is optimize the user experience. The final layer of DeFi space is the projects and the platforms that either work to make the industry more accessible to everyday users and investors, or offer new experiences entirely using the building blocks that are already available. In the initial stages of DeFi industry, and even some DeFi projects today, the user interface was less than the concept behind the platform was difficult to grasp. In other words, as a result, just like the blockchain industry in general, the DeFi industry was initially adopted by the financial professionals, savvy entrepreneurs, and those with a passion for new technology. Now, however, the industry is far more accessible, as great strides have been made in terms of the user experience or dining experience as far as our recipe goes. Dramatic changes in both ease of use and elaboration of use in cases that suit everyday investors and generally consumers have helped make DeFi more than just a niche that benefits the experts. So more mainstream use cases for the technology, like the potential to cross over NFT items in popular video game titles without game houses needing to sign IP license agreements, and adding digital currencies to video games are almost certainly on the horizon. Likewise, the Olympics, I think it was China that was trying to, or is trying to have their cryptocurrency, their country's cryptocurrency be used in the next Olympics. I don't know, something like that. You can look it up. So likewise, the Olympics and various soccer premiers leagues, the National Football League and the National Basketball Association will almost certainly be posed to dive into the growing soup of DeFi projects. I love how they're using food for this, explaining the whole DeFi projects to deliver an engaging sporting experience, players, interactions, and merchandise over the blockchain. And all of this is coming sooner than you probably think. And that's your DeFi talk for today, cryptocurrency, blockchain. Thanks, guys, for joining me right here. This is a long podcast. Thanks, guys, once again, for joining me right here on SEWCT. Let me know what you think. Love to hear your questions, concerns, what you think is going on in this crazy world out there. But most importantly, I hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy, and I'll catch you guys next week. You guys be safe out there. I'm Chef T. Thanks for joining me right here once again. SEWCT, science, eats, water waste, cooking, cannabis, and technology. Love it, right? SEWCT. Peace, guys.